All right, I am Mayor Meg Grenier, and as it is 6 o'clock, I will call this meeting to order. For anyone outside the village staff who is attending this video conference, I would ask if you would please identify yourselves.
Bill Menands.
Mike and Susan McKay.
Okay. Now do roll call of village staff. Deputy Mayor Seth Harris.
Present.
Trustee Diane Foley. She just joined.
Yep, she's here.
Trustee Brian Marsh.
Present.
Trustee Tim Lane.
Present.
Clerk John Hanrahan.
Present.
Deputy Clerk Nicole Ogden.
Present.
Village Attorney Steve Rafus.
Present.
Chief Ryan St. Gelais.
Present.
Detective Sergeant Kevin Schwepke.
Present.
Intern Isabel Smirzik.
Present.
On behalf of the village board, I would ask all residents that we please keep our first responders, all essential workers, and those affected by this pandemic in our thoughts and prayers. On January 14th, 2022, Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation extending virtual access to public meetings under New York State's open meeting law, which allows New Yorkers to virtually participate in local government meetings during the COVID-19 pandemic. The legislation, which was initially implemented by executive order during last year's state of emergency, allows state and local government meetings that are normally held in person to be held remotely instead, as long as the public has the ability to view or listen to the meeting, and as long as the meeting is recorded and later transcribed. This statutory change will reduce the need for congregation at public meetings while the Delta and Omicron variant are prevalent, while ensuring public business can continue. To start off tonight, we have a public hearing for the proposed local law number 1 of 2022 to add chapter 127 property maintenance code to our current code. Tim, did you want to give an overview of this, and then we can open it up for public comment? I don't know where Tim is.
He's not on there.
Tim, you're on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So we've developed a property maintenance law to add to our code to clarify the rules regarding individuals, whether they be a property owner or renter, to maintain the property, being the physical property itself, the building, whether it be commercial or residential. 127, the legislative intent reads as follows. It is the intent of the Village of Menands under this chapter to ensure both residential and business premises shall be maintained in conformity with the provisions of the code, so as to assure that it is a desirable aesthetic to the community, improve the quality of life and character of the Village of Menands. The village will adhere to the property maintenance codes of New York State's Uniform Code. It is the intent of the Village of Menands that all commercial and residential structures shall be maintained in a manner that will ensure occupant health, safety, and to ensure that any structure is not does not negatively impacting the surrounding community. And the primary focus is that if properties go into disrepair, they not only can become unsafe, but they can detract from the surrounding properties, and they can become what's known as a nuisance property, which can harm the character of the neighborhood, as well as property values, and as well as possibly causing safety issues, especially fire issues to the occupants as well. I can go through each section if anybody wants me to, or we can just, possibly, I don't know if Donnie would put it up, but do we want to go through it? Do we want to go through each section?
I don't think we need to, Tim.
Okay.
I think it's been out for public viewing. I know Bill
Right.
Nevins was good enough to send some questions in.
Right, he did, and you were good enough to send a response. In addition, I want to note that the village board has had the opportunity to do input, and I did sit down to meet with Laldar Medco, our building inspector, to get his input on it, which was very helpful, and he gave some good input. So And that provided the ability to do the final draft, which is what we're presenting this evening.
All right, so we can open this up for public comment since it is a public hearing. So if anyone has any comments they'd like to make,
I do have a comment,
go ahead, Mike.
a very important comment.
Is this regarding
Because I
the maintenance law?
This is regarding 33 Glenwood Road.
No, right now we're on the property maintenance public hearing. It would only be relative to that at this point.
Okay, then I guess I'll stay here for hours and wait.
Okay. Anyone else have comments? Bill, are you on the call? Did you want to?
I just
reiterate?
unmuted myself. I'm not sure if my video is coming through. It froze a few times already this evening, so I apologize if I'm cutting in and out.
Yeah, we can see you.
I'll take the opportunity to read the letter. I sent it in via email, and I'm assuming the board has it. But I'll take this opportunity to speak in public and read my letter and comments, please. Mayor and obviously the trustees, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I have great reservation in the passing of Chapter 127 property. Although the draft for review has come a long way in addressing responsibilities and requirements from previous drafts, I feel that Chapter 127 will create excessive or unwarranted complaints from residents. The responsibility to maintain property has always been part of village living, and the items are covered in current codes. If it is the intent of the board to be able to impose penalties, perhaps a modification of existing codes to impose penalties would be better. Case in point, Village Code Enforcement Officer worked within the current codes to address issues at 45 Broadway and 33 Glenwood Road. The issues with those properties have been addressed, and the current code allowed the village to force owners to comply with the wants of the village. Additionally, again, not that Section 304 of the New York State Property Maintenance Code is a bad thing, but if the village passes Code 127, every commercial building on the Broadway corridor in the village will be in violation. Everything from unsafe conditions, hazardous conditions, excessive hazardous materials, siding issues, window issues, roofs that leak, masonry joints, signs that are rusted, buildings that have oxidation. Currently, the village building itself does not comply with Code 27. Neither does the police or fire department building. Neither does Oakwood Avenue DPW building. I think I might have mentioned that. If the trustees have read New York State Code 304, they would see that 99% of the residential buildings in the village would be in violation of 127 overnight. Things like foundation cracks, rust on aluminum siding, easily open windows, chipped or peeling paint, or the oxidation of roof shingles. This would create an undue burden on the code enforcement officer and the village in addressing concerns timely. Honestly, it looks like a money grab situation from the village. I have previously expressed my concerns with the sidewalk passage. For the three members of the board that don't actually have sidewalks in front of their houses, perhaps you should talk to residents that live on one of the many hills in the village. The sidewalks move and buckle constantly, creating unsafe conditions. I am currently in violation if 127 passes, as are the properties I own in the village. If it is the intent of the village trustees to cause residences and businesses excessive costs and to collect fines, by all means pass this code. If it is the intent of the village trustees to follow suit with what the city of Albany has done, by all means pass this code. If it is the intent of the village trustees to have lifelong village residents who might not be financially able to address a problem in a timely fashion, pay fines, by all means, pass Code 127. I think a better solution to the handful of properties that have prompted this excessive, overreaching, and subjective legislation would be to impose a penalty in current codes. That would allow the village to correct the wrong. Allow me to continue. The goal of the Board of Trustees is service to the community. For this reason, the mayor and trustees should regard public hearings as serving more than just the objective of keeping local government business open to the public. Giving the public full opportunity to observe and participate in its own governance helps confirm accountability to its constituents. In addition, fairness in hearing procedures results in proper accord for the rights of all residents, a better airing of public opinion and community issues, and ultimately greater public confidence in the decision process. All that being said, I find it utterly deplorable that the village trustees would want to proceed to a vote without allowing residents a chance to see Code 127 up until the vote you have scheduled tonight. With the village offices closed to the public and unable to see a posting of the code, and Code 127 Code 127 having been removed from the village website, the purposeful misleading of the public by the village trustees is erroneous and in poor judgment. The lack of transparency and hypocrisy of pushing through a code without it being available to residents to read is misleading and deceitful. Anyone who votes in favor of this overreaching proposed code tonight will actually be violating the New York open meeting laws, specifically making materials available to be discussed. So I'm Bill Nevins, but I'm speaking tonight as a resident of the village. I want to be very clear about that also. Whatever other organizations or affiliations I'm with tonight, I'm speaking as a resident of the village. Thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else?
I'd like,
Okay, Bill.
can I interject here? So I'd like to address a couple of the things that has basically been accused, making accusations against the board here. Don, can you speak to any of the truth about the removal of 127 for viewing? Can you address any of that?
It's not on the website at this time. That's like.
What isn't?
The 127 is not on the website because we've made so many changes to it that we had to we pulled it down because of all the changes that have been made. Well, if anybody asked for it, we gave it to them.
So were copies of the proposed, for this public hearing, were copies of what was to be considered by the board tonight, were they available in the village office?
Yes.
Thank you.
When was the decision made?
I just wanted to second. I think most of Bill's points hit home, especially, a lot of times I'm kind of late to trying to review things in preparation to attend meetings. And so it wasn't until this weekend that I was attempting to read through 127 to determine my thoughts on it. And it was, like Bill said, it was nowhere to be found. I did send a text to both Don and I believe Meg yesterday, just trying to see if maybe I was looking in the wrong spot. But it's not on the website. So again, I think Bill was pointing out that right now residents are kind of deterred from going to the public buildings because of COVID. So why would they attempt to go down to the village office to get it in paper when it should be readily available on the internet? I mean, we do live in the digital age, and I understand with multiple edits happening to it, that doesn't mean it has to come down. Strikeouts can happen and new words can be typed in, so that residents have the ability to see the edits as they're happening real time. But I do agree with what Bill was saying. Just the firehouse alone, the wall that's been crumbling for easily 10 years would make that building in error of code 127. Would we be finding ourselves as a village if we don't fix it in 5 days?
Well, that particular building, as far as I remember, I think there's a maintenance plan in place for remedying those specific issues. So I believe that
5 days, because I
Say
believe
again?
this talks about 5 days. You have like 5 days to address the concern. So if that plan isn't for 5 days from now, then it would be in violation of itself. And let me point out, that's just one example. We have a basketball court that's been crumbling for a decade, and that's a safety issue, and that would also have to be fixed in 5 days. 5 days. I'm kind of concerned about the 5 days. I don't know if they got.
Steve or Tim, the 5 days, to my knowledge, has to do with code enforcement reviewing the complaint, isn't it? Or it's not saying.
Yeah.
What?
For notice.
for notice, not remedy, notice.
Right. It doesn't deal with remedy. The bottom line is, let me give a little background. Maybe the the code is written is inartful, and I think there are some changes that could be made to tighten it up. And as you know, very early on, I felt that this should be handled a little bit differently than this way. But be that as it may, it's important to understand the background here. There was a piece of property in the village of Menands that was a constant concern. And there were a number of complaints by people who lived in the area. And we attempted to bring the people into court, serve them with notices of violation. They never appeared. And one of the concerns that was raised
Sir, I did appear.
by the judges was that there was no enforcement as the code was currently written. So that's what prompted a review of and an attempt to amend the code so that there would be some enforcement provisions for the courts to use before. And I don't hold me to this, but I think it was a fine of $25 or $50, whatever. The concern is that we wanted to ensure that and this was at the judge's insistence and after speaking with Lyle, that in the event that the issues were not addressed, that if the village went in to correct the situation, whatever the situation might be, that the village could then turn around and apply that to the taxes that were owed on the property, because otherwise there was no enforcement. So that's really kind of the genesis of why we are where we are at this point in time.
Meg, just to address the specific concern about availability of viewing this, in paper format prior to this hearing. I mean, what are our options to re-notice, republic notice, and hear it at on the 21st in person?
Well, I was not aware that had been taken down off of the website.
I
This
had
is the
no
first
idea.
time. What, Tim?
I had neither. I
Yeah,
thought
I'm not,
that once we did the revision, it was back up, but
it was put up as a draft and I didn't know it had been taken down. So based on that, there's no way I'm going to move forward with this, for this to be a vote tonight.
right.
Because it's just, to their point, we need to give ample opportunity for people to read what materials are being presented at a board meeting. In this particular case, in my view, it was not ample opportunity. We still want to hear the comments for anybody that's here tonight so that we can, talk about that. But as far as moving forward, for me personally, I'm not willing to do that tonight.
So are we agreeing to table it till the next meeting and renotice?
I would say so.
Yeah, can I add just one thing? I do want to respond to one thing. A large part of my discussion with Lyle had to do with his ability to act with his discretion to address, addressing Bill's concern that this is, some blanket thing to go after all the properties in the village, and that's just not the case. There will be certain specific properties that draw our attention, and he certainly, it's his prerogative to note where there's large issues that could be problematic. But he did want it clear that he has the ability to use his discretion with how he addresses these. And one of the parts that was added, because it really just brings us into line with the state uniform code, which is already in place, is Lyle made it very clear to me, which he operates a good portion under. But for him to have a procedure in addition to the ability to use his own discretion in how he approaches each individual situation. And I think this does that. So
the one concern I have with that, Tim, is that Lyle happens to be, and we're all aware of how Lyle conducts his business. He's very professional. and errs on the side of caution more often than not, and errs on the side of the resident more often than not. The concern is who is the next individual who's going to sit in that seat? How much discretion will they exercise? So perhaps we could be a little more definitive in the language so that there is less discretion and more objectivity as opposed to subjectivity in the law.
Can I say something or no?
Go ahead. If it's related to the public hearing, yes.
It is related to the public hearing. I live on 32 Glenwood. Okay. I was served no papers. I got kicked out. I'm staying in a hotel right now with 2 dogs because you guys said that last time that we had this conference that you were going to give me time, and I lost my brother. So I had to deal with that. A couple of weeks before that, I had COVID, and I did clean up a lot of the house. I got the vehicles out of the driveway, and I know exactly what you guys are talking about right now when it comes to the houses. Okay, when my brother lived there, yes, the house was a mess. I've been slowly trying to clean up this house, and I've been slowly trying to get the village of Menands to do their part of it, the whole situation too. Because I can only take up to the curb. If you give me a parking ticket for parking on the wrong side of the road, then obviously you guys own half the road, right? You guys own the whole road. I only own up to the curb. Correct? So
Mike,
if that road
Mike,
in the middle of the road,
let me jump in
if you
here.
guys ain't gonna work with me, I can't work with you. Look, you're not even letting me talk. You're interrupting me.
Yeah, but we have a public hearing going on over a local
And
law.
this
We're
is
not talking,
public, right?
but
And
we're
I
not talking
understand.
about 33 Glenwood. So let me do this.
It doesn't matter. You're talking about a resident. You're talking about a resident, and I feel discriminated because you're talking about it might not be my resident, but it might be somebody else's resident, and you guys still ain't doing your part. Because I
So
can't
what
try
you
to
need to
contact.
do is
I try to contact.
what you need to
Everybody
do is
that I could.
contact. You have to let me talk. What
Well, you got to let me
do
talk
is
too, sir.
you need to contact Lyle and give him a plan of action.
I
How you
tried.
plan on addressing all of the issues.
I tried. He does not call me back. I tried hard. Trust me. I tried as far as I can go.
Did
I
you
don't
leave
know
him a number?
what.
Give us a number
Yes,
where he can reach you.
yes.
Don, take this down, please.
I'll tell you right now. 518
Okay.
334 1152.
Okay. Somebody from the village will contact you either tomorrow or Wednesday to address.
Sir, I'm leaving the hotel tomorrow with 2 dogs being out in the cold because you people don't want to answer back already.
Okay.
Do you understand that? I spent $1,000 in a hotel because you guys wrongfully kicked me out. I never got served paperwork. Nothing was notarized. Nothing was nothing.
Mr. Weaver, this is not what the public hearing is about.
Well,
Don,
I think the public should hear it.
Don, you'll ensure that somebody will contact Mr. Weaver.
Yes, I'll make sure. I'll have Lyle call him tomorrow.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I understand that you guys are aggravated just as much as I am, but I spent a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I'm spending a lot of money just to have an animal that I love. I lost my whole family in that house. So I don't think you guys really do understand. Losing a whole family in a house in 25 years living somewhere does not help nothing. And I did try. I cleaned the attic. I cleaned the basement. I started the driveway. I did everything I could do for you guys. So for everything that I have in front of me, I can tell you right now makes no sense. Because I didn't get any of this paperwork. My name's Michael Weaver, and I'm telling you to the public, I never received a piece of paper that I have in front of me. And I'm going to be living on the streets tomorrow.
All right. Mr. Weaver, Lyle will be in touch.
Apparently you don't
tomorrow.
care.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Don, take care of that tomorrow, please.
Any other public comment in relation to the local law?
And can I ask you another question? Can I get a video? Can I get it? Can you send me an email on this one? So I have it myself.
We have, we'll have transcripts of the meeting.
Okay, so how do I get that?
I guess put in a request with the office,
What office?
the village office, I'm sorry. Put in a FOIL request through the village office.
Okay, for the last two I want.
Okay, just put the dates down of what you're looking for.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. The one thing as far as sidewalks that we were talking about that I wanted to, I think that language is too vague. It talks about adjoining properties, but based on Steve, what you had sent to us and the follow-up to my question, I know we have a responsibility as the residents to make sure the ice and snow are cleared, but as far as I know, maintaining the sidewalks themselves are the responsibility of the village. So if, based on your response, Steve, as well, I feel like that's what I got from your email also.
Right. Residents are required to remove snow and ice and debris from the sidewalks adjoining their property. In the context of a broken sidewalk, something of that nature, where a physical repair is necessary, as long as the repair was not caused as a result of the action of the property owner, the village is ultimately responsible for that repair.
So I think that needs to be spelled out in the language of the local law of the resolution, because it's, again, I feel like it's too vague, and why we may get it here 3 years down the road, somebody else may read it differently. So that can be part of the discussion.
And the 5 days that I was
Do that.
speaking of is in 127-3, where it says violating the provisions of this chapter and required compliance within 5 calendar days from the date such notice was mailed, or within 3 calendar days of personal service of notice. That's where I'm picking up on the idea that you have 5 calendar days to fix your issue and get into compliance.
Bill, you don't have to raise your hand. You can just speak, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to just mention the sidewalk issue. The wording is unsafe, deleterious, and a few other words I had to look up. It's not that it's broken, right? ADA requirements require a smooth surface. You live on a hill where the joints are every 8 feet, sidewalks poured in 8 feet and they score them every 4 feet. The 8-foot sections heave on a hill, on every hill in the village and on the flats. So it's unsafe. If the wording is just going to be for broken sidewalks, you're not addressing the issue of the problems, because the wording in the law that you're proposing says unsafe. If there's 2 joints that are not at the same level, it's unsafe.
All right. Thanks, Bill. All right. Anyone else have any comments? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for your input. We will close the public hearing and move on with the regular board meeting. All right. We need a motion to approve the previous board meeting minutes.
So moved as amended.
Second, Seth.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Warrant number 17. General, $139,096.06. Water, $44,766.12. Sewer, $36,347, totaling $222,209.18. Payroll number 18, $99,555.43. And there's no transfers.
So moved, Seth.
Second, Brian.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The treasurer is requesting a resolution to amend the expenditures accounts as noted for the COVID-19 stipends that were paid on payroll 17.
Do we have to read it?
You don't have to read the whole thing. We just tell, we just have to have the approval to make these
Okay,
exchanges.
Chip Chrono's original bill price was $28,000.
No, wrong one, Brad.
What?
It's the stipend.
Oh, sorry. I don't have that one. Sorry. Jumping ahead.
So what do you want them read? All right, the treasurer requests a resolution to amend the following expenditure account as noted to cover the COVID-19 stipends paid on payroll number 17 dated 1/13/22, total $36,500. Clerk to the justices, 1,000, village clerk, 1,000, administrative clerk, 1,000, treasurer, 500, deputy clerk, treasurer, 1,000, activities, 500, police chief, 1,500, supervisors, 4,500, full-time patrol, 8,000, part-time patrol, 2,500, telecommunication, full-time, 2,000, telecommunication, part-time, 3,000, building inspector, part-time, 500, street foreman, 1,000, street sub-foreman, 1,000, street laborers, 3,000, part-time MS4 officer, 500, refuse laborers, 3,000, and water laborers, 1,000.
So moved, Brian.
Second, Tim. Should we note this, that these came from the ARPA funds? The
Oh,
COVID
yes, and
funds?
Bill confirm, I made sure I confirmed that with Bill, because that this money does come out of the ARPA funds as we are governed to do. So, who motioned and seconded?
I seconded, Tim.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We had to do a change order. The work has already been completed, but we had to do a change order for the sewer frame adjustments. I don't know if Eric wants, can you explain what they did? Because you know a lot better than I do about this.
Is Eric here?
Yes.
Yep, I'm here. Sure, I can do my best to explain. So the DPW was having an issue with manhole covers through the village. A lot of them were, let's call them recessed above the finish grade of the asphalt so that the plows were hitting them. And so Mike had identified, I think there were 12 manholes that he had targeted for shimming work. And what we did, or what the contractor did, on 13 manholes, they boxed out a small section of asphalt, 6x6 roughly, and just blended the grade back in with manhole cover so that when they plowed, there was no longer the recess for the plow blade to hit. When the board approved the expenditure, and I don't remember the dates exactly, Mike had identified 12 manholes in total. He wound up directing the contractor to do like 14 in total. And in addition to that, he had the contractor replace some asphalt on Park Drive that was in bad shape because they were doing asphalt already. And so there were a few reasons why this final invoice was higher than what the board had approved originally. Is that enough detail, or I can probably go into further detail if it's needed?
The only problem I have with this, when I looked at these myself, and I was kind of surprised the number was even that small. So I'm a bit surprised that, Mike might have given them a count, but they gave us the estimate. Didn't they look at them themselves to say, well, Mike's estimate is, probably shy a few, or, it kind of bothers me a little that, that they were off by even 3 or 4. And that in the number that needed to, to be raised level.
Sure. Yeah, that was all driven on the villages and Labella's end, I guess, Chase and Labella's end, where we had estimated with Mike estimated a quantity before work started, and we got a unit price per item. And work commenced. I was not in the field. Our organization was not in the field, and Mike was working with Cronow. And they wound up identifying a few more manholes that Mike wanted to have done that weren't initially identified. So the number grew during construction, and I don't, again, I wasn't there, so I don't have all the rationale of why or how those additional ones were selected. But that's the reason for the increase.
All right, so
moved.
do we need to specify exactly what the number is, or are we good?
I'll read it.
All right.
Coronaw's original bid was $28,282. The net effect of the changes result in a cost increase of $7,115.50. Cornell's final bill is $35,397.50. So moved.
Second, Diane.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so what had been previously mentioned was the bike share program with CDTA. We had a meeting with other municipalities, the Village of Menands, City of Waterville, Village of Green Island, and the residential and commercial development on Starbuck Island with CDTA to talk about doing a shared agreement where each municipality would have a certain amount of bikes. And if we all get involved in it, instead of a $20,000 cost, it would be $5,000. So they've asked each of us to go back to our governing bodies and get general approval for that. If it turns out that not everybody gets involved in it, we would have to come back with a different number because it wouldn't continue to be the $5,000. So you should have had a copy of the draft. If anyone has any questions, I'll see if I can answer them. If not, looking for approval to move forward with the joint split cost of $5,000 to bring in the bike shares to Menands.
Was there specific discussion about where you were thinking for them to go?
They say they like to do it near the bus stops. So I think probably near Morgan Lennon where the one BRT is, and probably then at the north end by the park and ride where the other BRT is.
So
and then the cost,
two installations?
Yes. Yeah, it says CDTA to provide a minimum of 1 to 2 cycle racks per partner, along with a minimum of 25 bikes through the proposed riding area. Menands will reimburse CDTA for operating costs totaling the amount of $5,000 annually by the end of each season's calendar year. This agreement will be in place for the 2022 and 2023 riding seasons. Terms and agreements renewal to be discussed at the conclusion of the 2023. And then at the option of Menands, this agreement may be terminated via written notice to CDTA within 60 days at the conclusion of each riding season.
Would ARPA funds cover this?
I want to say no, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Because I believe that probably would have come up in conversation with all of us had that been the case. But it's something we can look at.
Now, we get to choose. I mean, you mentioned 2 locations, but did you get to choose, or do we get to choose those locations, or they choose? CDTA?
I believe they choose.
They choose.
And then the cost is for like maintenance. Somebody takes a bike in Menands, they go into Albany to go to work. They leave the bike in Albany, then the bikes have to get brought back to Menands. So there's a program to do that. And then if there's any maintenance that needs to be done on the bikes, they say they're not making any money on this. It's all got to do with operating costs.
Well, I'd be pretty sure they're not making money on it. All right, I'll make a motion for the allocation for the 5,000. Is that all we need? We just sign the agreement.
Right, and then again, if all 3 of the others don't agree to it as well, this is going to be voided, and they would give us a new price based on however many do agree. But we were hopeful that all 4 would participate. Does anybody want a second, or?
I'll second, Seth.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Next up is the Town of Connolly range agreement. Ryan, you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Say
It's
Ryan.
every year, I believe we have to sign an agreement to use the Town of Connolly range. We shoot twice a year, and they just sent it over the other day, and I believe they need our insurance or if we're self-insured. I'm not sure, Don, what we have to do with that, but
Again,
it's just an agreement to use the range.
So moved.
Second, Seth.
Second, Diane.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Mike Stu, are you there?
I am.
Okay, sorry, there's only a box on here that says 10 others, so that's why I wasn't sure if you're there or not. So this is well, you're up the next two. So regarding the LoSAP for posting.
Sure. So those are the LoSAP posting points for 2021. There were no extra bonus points given due to COVID as there were in 2020. So those are actual earned points. You have to obtain a minimum of 50 points in order to receive the financial benefit.
Okay.
What about the guys who it says after the name entitled? Does that mean they get it in either case?
Once you're over the age of 60, you are you receive the balance of the funds in your account, and then every year after the age of 60, if you meet the point minimums, instead of depositing the funds into your account, you are mailed a check. So that means they're entitled. They're over the age of 60.
So anybody that says entitled, they should have received their check
No.
if they're of age.
No, they receive their check after. So you guys will approve this for posting. It'll stay posted for the next 30 days. If any of the members have questions or challenges to the points that were assigned to them, they get to do so during the next 30 days. After that, I'll come back to the board. You guys will approve the final posting, at which point that will be sent to Penflex. They'll do their thing. You guys fund the account, and then people like me, it'll go into my account. Anyone over the age of 60, if they received any funds, they will be mailed a check at that point.
So you can reason that, well, it doesn't give their ages, so I guess you can't. Like if somebody's already received their check, would they still be listed as entitled?
No one has received their check for 2021.
Because it hasn't been approved yet.
But the ones that are over 60, do they get something every year or that one time?
No. So once you reach the age of 60, if you attend enough fire calls and drills and meetings or are elected to an office that gets you the points over 50 points, you are entitled to the contribution amount. Once all of this is approved, so probably in 30 to 45 days, you all will have approved this. It then goes to Penflex. Penflex tells you how much money you need to contribute into the account, and then you just send it along. For me, when my funds arrive, they put it into my account. Anyone who's over the age of 70 or 60 receives a check instead of it going into their account. So once you reach the age of 60, if you're active for the next 10 years, you receive a check for the next 10 years.
All right, that was my misunderstanding. When we did the increase in the LoSAP, I thought it was a one-time check that people over 60 got. I didn't realize they continued to get a check.
They can, as long as they meet the point requirement every year.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so we just need to make a motion on this?
Yeah, you just need to make a motion that you're approving the preliminary numbers. I then post it for the next 30 days in the House, and then I will come back and tell you either nobody has challenged it or someone did challenge it, and this is how it was resolved.
Okay.
So moved, Ryan.
Second, Seth.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you're still up, Mike, with the turnout gear?
Yep, so there's a proposal from MES. We budget 3 sets of turnout gear every year. It's part of the budget. I confirmed with Bill, the money's still available in the budget. It has not been spent. Just looking for approval to move forward with that.
Do you want to just give an overview of what it includes, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it includes a full set of PPE, everything from the helmet to a hood, gloves, coat, pants, boots. I think that's everything.
Helmet?
I said helmet, didn't I? Helmet.
I wasn't sure if you said helmet.
And this is what we do we try to buy a set, 3 sets every year that with our current roster level that maintains well within the useful life of the equipment. That is what our guys are using and wearing.
Okay. Do you always get it from the same?
It's under
Company?
state contract.
All right. So the total for the 3 sets is $13,302.63. Need a motion to approve?
So moved, Brian.
Second,
Second.
Diane.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I have one other thing for the board. The COVID funds, the volunteer firefighters were left out of that. And I hope that the village board has reached out to the county, the state, the federal officials, and voiced their displeasure in leaving the volunteer firefighters out of the COVID stipends. We served the village the entire time. We didn't stop any of our operations. And it's disheartening to hear that we were not included. I know that was not your decision, but I believe and hope you show your support in us being excluded from all of that.
Well, that was our argument as well, that you guys, were here just as much and continue to do your job. Believe me, I did voice that argument on multiple occasions, but the way the law was written, it did exclude you guys, and it was a shame that it did.
No, hopefully they have time to go back and make it right.
Hopefully. All right.
Mike, do you or Mike want to talk about the new junior membership member?
Yes, sorry. We have 2 new members in the department. First one is John Dudley. John moved into the village about a year ago. Previously served, I don't know, somewhere over 20 years with the Schuyler Heights Fire Department. He was a chief officer of that department for over 13 years. He's a great addition to our department. The second one is Tobias Wasserman. He is our first junior member. He cannot be here tonight because he's currently in Firefighter 1. It's been a great success so far. He's spending a lot of time in the classroom every Monday, Wednesday, second or third Saturday as well of every month. He's hoping to graduate Firefighter 1 at the end of June. At which point he'll be able to do a lot more hands-on stuff, train with us, but will still be a member of the junior program for about 1.5 years after graduation until he turns 18.
Have you had any others that have been interested in it, or just the one so far?
He's the only one that's actually gone through and applied. There are some others that, we're talking to.
Okay. We actually, I think, approved Jonathan Dudley last time, so it's
Oh,
just a matter. Nope, you gave a little background on him. That was good.
So moved.
I'll second that. I want to also say that Toby is a former student of mine, so it's my honor to second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. So we have before us a resolution for the water meter project that we're working on. Where do I go with this? Where's Nicole? Do you want to, or do you want me to keep going? So to make sure that the system runs efficiently, we've been doing a lot of work on the water system, which we've talked about where with the leaks that have been found, we brought in leak detection. Nicole has gone painstakingly through the records to make sure that the right sizes are documented properly. The DPW has taken pictures and looked at the meters individually to make sure that the right sizes are there. Kudos to the office staff and the DPW for the hard work that they've done on this project. As I mentioned a couple weeks ago, we averaged about 40% water loss over the last couple of years, and with the efforts that have been made, that number is down to, I think it was 18% or 14%?
18%.
18%, which is very good. So part of the ongoing efforts to this is we passed a resolution, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, I'm not sure when, but that businesses that have meters over 20 years old have to replace their meters. And we are going through now with a meter program to update the meters within the residence to be a radio read water meters for efficiency. And to do so, to make sure the system works the way we need it to and to be readable, we want to have it so that the meters are Neptune. Right now, as it works, the businesses are able to do whatever they want. They're not always compatible. So we have a resolution before us tonight to mandate that the meters are the Neptune brand, so that they will be compatible with our current software. Nicole, did you want to add anything to that?
No. Well, I guess if anyone has questions, I'm here to basically answer them, but I feel like the resolution covers everything.
So basically today, like the meter we talked about today that business just put in, or yesterday, I don't know, the days blend together. No, there was no yesterday. So anyway, the one we talked about today, so there's no specific guidance for them to pick a specific type of meter currently?
Right. So like we started sending letters before I even got there back in 2019, indicating which businesses had meters over 20 years old, some cases over 40 years old, some cases 75, or it was put in like 1975 and before then. So when people, got these letters, they were just shopping around for the cheapest ones, and they're not compatible with our, before this radio reading software we have. We were going through like a remote kind of digital, you scan it and then it inputs the reading, and then we still have to manually enter everything, but still wasn't compatible, which means that the radio also isn't compatible with that, just as like an add-on. So with us upgrading everything and standardizing just using Neptune, we will have that benefit where all these new meters will just be able to be picked up by a drive-by, or worst case, just, a scan. So
Does Neptune have any way to retrofit some of these other type brands?
not those brands. So Neptune, basically the meters that I can retrofit, or not myself, but the contractors can retrofit, they have 3 screws on them, which comes with it. It would have to connect to a 3-wire, which would then connect to the radio transmitter. And then that's what is picked up, by vehicle, by walking, by whatever these handhelds, the radius is. If it doesn't have that, which I can tell you, I mean, I've seen these old Rockwell ones from 75, 72. I mean, there's not even close. The Pro Coder ones for Neptune.
I'm sorry, Nicole, it's Renee. I'm the court reporter. You just broke up. I can tell you, I've seen these old Rockwell ones from
1975 and before, that there's no way they would ever be compatible. And then the useful life on a meter is actually around 20 years anyway. So they would have to be replaced regardless. But as far as the Neptunes that we have installed more recently, we're looking at from 2018 in June and more recent. That was when the first order of these newer Pro Coder meters were ordered by the village and started to be installed. So we're looking at like a mass kind of update here to get all on the same page with everything, get everything kind of seamless.
Wait, so are you saying that from 2018 on, we have used the Neptune?
Yes.
Okay.
We've been using Neptune pretty much all along. I mean, there were a couple Badgers, I think I could tell from the old meter logs, but they were taken out because they weren't doing so great. So we've been ordering Neptune right along. It's a brand that we know and we trust. No real faulty meters. So I think, that's part of the resolution that we talk about here too.
Nicole, this is Eric. If I could jump in for a second, I guess isn't the issue that some of the commercials are going rogue and not using the Neptune?
That's right.
That's clarity, Brian. So all the ones the village is doing are all Neptune. The village code says you need to comply with the village's standard meter, and the meter needs to be approved by the village. But some commercials are going rogue and putting in whatever meters they want to be putting in. So this will help bring some consistency.
How are we going to? So we can't go back and tell them to replace what they just put in, but going forward, they are required to put in a Neptune meter, correct?
So if it was like, perfect world, we would be enforcing that it has to be Neptune, because in these letters, we've included Jason Matz, our representative from Tie Sales, contact card in there. And given that this is who we use, this is our representative, this is what works with our billing system and our software. So if they're going against what we're saying, it's kind of like, well, this resolution hopefully will enforce that.
I think ultimately, Brian, the question is, when did they replace the meter? Was it before or after the village adopted the code that Eric was talking about? If it was before the code, I think it's going to be difficult to get them to incur the expense of putting in a new meter. But if they did it afterwards, I think we have a leg to stand on.
Could we at least somehow persuade them to figure out how it's, remotely connectable to a remote reading system?
I don't know. I don't know what the mechanics or the engineering are.
Right.
So I can't speak to that.
So I can kind of, so there's a particular business in 90 Broadway who installed, it's not Neptune, I don't remember the brand, but they did put like a remote on it, and the software does not register it. It just says reader error. And this was back in 2018. And I did talk to the people who are purchasing that, and they have plans on getting new meters for that whole plaza. Okay. And they know kind of the drill. So I have hopes that will be remedied. But I do have the option of manually entering in readings. I have the software for the system already completely set up for the ones that we couldn't obtain with the scan. So everything is ready to go as far as the system goes for the one-off situations. I hope that answers questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks. And Nicole, thank you for all of your efforts. I know they've been painstaking for you, but we appreciate
Happy to help.
So
do
if
we need a
someone
motion?
wants to,
Huge.
if somebody wants to read it, and then it's not that long.
From the top?
Yep.
Whereas the Village of Menands Water Department intends to convert the existing manually read water meters presently in use throughout the village to automatic radio read water meters for reasons of efficiency, proven reliability, and economy. The village is desirous of standardizing all water meters, commercial and residential, throughout the village with Neptune water meters. And whereas the standardization will promote efficiency and save money on the maintenance work requiring less labor time, and whereas only the newly installed, upgraded, and retrofitted Neptune brand meters will be compatible with the current Neptune automated read software, also compatible with the village's present utility billing software, and whereas the proprietary nature of the radio read meters and software make it unable to use radio read meters manufactured by another company, so that it becomes necessary for the village to install only one brand of meters and endpoints, and now therefore pursuant to New York State Municipal Law 103-5, the Village Board of Trustees resolves that for reasons of efficiency, proven reliability, and economy, the village shall hereafter only install Neptune radio read meters, retrofit partially compatible Neptune meters, or completely upgrade the meters so that all shall hereafter be compatible with the village's current software. So moved.
Second, Tim?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right. Eric and Nicole, thanks for your input, and Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so Paul had sent me from the Stormwater Coalition the Board of Directors representation form. We just need to approve. Paul has been our coalition board member for the village, and Lyle is the alternate. So we just need the board to approve the same for the 2022 year.
I'll make a motion.
Moved.
Second,
Tim?
Seth?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, so I finally received a letter today, which I had gotten wind of previously. The grant that we submitted for the EV stations back in January, before that, the end of last year, they received our grant, but they regret to inform us that the proposals referenced above were not selected for award, as all available funding was awarded to completed proposals submitted prior to our application. So even though we submitted on time, people that got it in before us were given the awards and we were not. Another grant opportunity is supposed to be out in May. We've got all of our stuff together that we can just resubmit in May and hope for a better outcome. But just to give you the heads up that we were unsuccessful with this grant for this time around, but we are hopeful to get it for the next time around.
I think we'll get it next time, especially given what you said, and I look forward to us applying as soon as the application opens.
Yeah, and Tara,
We don't have a specific date though that's going to open? No.
not yet. They just expect it to be sometime around May. And then Tara, who we worked with from CDTC, is keeping an eye on it for us as well. So she's a good in for us. I don't know. Did you guys want to talk about the policy, or do you want to wait till next week? Did you not have enough time to take a look? Or do you want to hear from Ryan, see what he has to say?
You mean regarding the tattoo policy?
Correct.
I read it briefly, but I would like to hear his thoughts on it.
Ryan, you still there?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I was approached by, some officers to possibly let tattoos be now visible on their arms during, the summer months. Right now, obviously, there you got long sleeves on, but during the summer months, they'll wear short sleeve. And I was asked if it would be possible to change the policy for visible tattoos now on their arms. Which I said, I know I talked to Brian, I talked to the mayor about it, and we, decided it'd be good to bring it to the board. And, nothing would be on their neck, nothing would be on their face, and nothing would be on their hands. And I guess it's just it's a changing of the times. Now I notice a lot of people have tattoos, so that's where we were going with that.
Ryan, I'm not opposed to it, and I certainly know times are changing. Certainly, as a teacher as well. What have other police departments been doing? Is this language that you've gotten from them?
Yeah, actually, that is the language in there is through Lexipol, which is our policy company that gives us that policy, and that pretty much they go through New York State. So other departments kind of tailor it to how they want it. That's why we only really had to take out one sentence to change the whole policy to not visible to visible. Also with this, we're seeing a lot, we're having problems obviously finding people. We have one kid right now that's in a background check, but you're getting people from the military, you're getting people from other agencies who allow tattoos that we aren't able to look at because we don't allow them currently.
Chief, let me ask you a quick question. Is there currently anyone on the force that would be in violation of this policy?
No.
Either with respect to offensive tattoos or visible face, neck, or hand tattoos?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
if we were to allow it, could you put a limitation on what kind of things could be? Because it's, because it's such a subjective thing. This one's okay, that one's not. I saw something about military tattoos or one thing as opposed to, whatever.
I think it's more a matter of not allowing than it
Yeah.
is allowing. I mean, somebody wants to have Mickey Mouse on it and somebody wants to have Donald Duck on it. I mean, how specific are you going to get? But it says no foul language, no, I don't know what all the language says, but
Yeah, nothing sexist, nothing discriminatory.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing in there in that paragraph.
This
What
language
about-
is from Lexapro, so that's a national organization that provides content for, in particular, SOPs, standard operating procedures for police departments.
And I'm not sure if this is a question for Ryan or for Steve, but what if an officer has, especially in this day and age, and I don't want to say it on public record, but the phrase that's being used to bash President Biden right now, or the past things that have derogatory things about former President Trump. What if they had that? I mean, I would consider that unprofessional. They might consider it free speech.
I would go I would go back to what the Supreme Court says when determining whether or not something is pornography. You know it when you see it. I think we've got. I think the language is fairly inclusive, and yeah, will there be circumstances or situations where they go into the gray area? Sure.
Okay.
But I think you have to take it on a case by case basis.
So then I'm going to go into your favorite term, Steve, which is discretion. So would the chief have discretion to determine, you can have that, but you can't have that? I mean, how much say would he have?
Listen, I'm handling a lawsuit right now with another police department where not Menands, wherein a black officer claims that he was racially discriminated against by one of the officers, and one of the indicia of discrimination is the fact that he had a tattoo on his arm that said SS, which the claim is that is obviously a Nazi, that's Nazi symbolism. It happens to be a reflection of the initials of his two sons. So,
the policy that they have now, examples of offensive include, but are not limited to, those that exhibit or advocate discrimination against sex, race, religion, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental disability, medical condition, or marital status, those that exhibit gang, supremacist, or extremist group affiliation, and those that depict or promote drug use, sexually explicit acts, or other obscene material. That's what's currently in the policy and would also remain in the policy. And then it added to the policy would be no visible facial, neck, or hand tattoos are allowed.
yeah, ultimately what would happen, Chief, is in the event that someone were to get a tattoo that you felt crossed the line, the discretion would be he would then file under the collective bargaining agreement disciplinary, a notice of discipline against the individual, which could then be grieved, and then you would allow a third party to determine whether or not it was in violation of the policy. So,
Right. And I know other
it's
aides
not,
also
it's not like the chief
make them
is going to be
law.
handing down discipline. It's subject to the collective bargaining agreement.
Right. And it also says visible. So it may come down to they have to wear long sleeve shirts in the summertime.
Correct.
That's
Luckily,
where I
there
was going. Could he make them wear the long sleeve shirts if he found
He's
it
the chief.
improper? There we go. All right.
And luckily, you can reverse tattoos these days. So,
All right. Does anybody want to move forward with this?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. All right, I have just a letter from Bill Garvey, and then I'm going to turn it over to Isabel, and then we see if anybody else has anything. He wants to congratulate Ryan St. Gelais on his promotion to police chief of Menands effective 1/1/22. He deserves the Menands police job. I wish Ryan St. Gelais well in his new job as Menands police chief. Good luck. I wish to thank the Menands Village Board and staff for sending me a sympathy card over the loss of my mom in early January of 2022. I appreciate your sympathy, prayers, thoughts, and concerns for me during this tough time. I miss my mom, Josephine Garvey. She has been the best mom that I could ever have. I'd like to thank the Public Works guys for installing one red and white reflector stick for one fire hydrant on the west side of Broadway, just northeast of Stewart's Ice Cream Store in early January of 2022. Well done. While driving on North Lyons Avenue, he saw and observed a Christmas tree in the road. He stopped and picked it up and then noted that nothing should be left in the road. While driving on Broadway here in Menands, he observed one utility pole on the west side of Broadway, just northeast of Burger King, with the vapor light being lit 24/7. Finally got one new vapor light for the utility pole, and he's glad that the new vapor lamp is not lit 24/7. He agreed, regarding the project for 5 Elmwood, he's glad to hear that the Menands Village Board did the right thing and deny the special use permit for this proposed housing project since it failed to conform with the comprehensive plan for the whole village. And, and then it just goes on about what the project was. So next up is our economic development intern report. Isabel, you still there?
Could I jump in just for a second, Mayor?
Sure.
I have to run, but I want to make sure before I do. Were you planning on executive session, or were there any issues for me?
I have none. Anybody else?
Nope, I don't have any.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Steve.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right. We'll
You
let you
too.
know about the next meeting because our guess is it's going to be in person.
Yeah. Good.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Sorry, Isabel. Go ahead.
No, that's good. I'll try to keep this quick. So just some upcoming projects, the CGI videos, the Summer Food Truck Festival, the Story app, and then a quick summary of my meet and greet that happened earlier today. So for CGI, thanks to everyone who helped on the questionnaire. I sent that in a couple weeks ago, and we're waiting the first draft of the script for the videos. And then I'll do something similar where I'll put the draft of the script in a Google Doc and give everyone suggesting and commenting privileges and leave it open for a few days before I email it back. We do have limited amounts of times I think we can send the script in, and also we want to make sure we have it done before the day to shoot the actual video. So it'll be on a timely manner, but there will definitely be time to add input. We also decided that the 3 videos will be a welcome video, a community relations video, and a quality of life video. So that third one trying to kind of encompass the Village of Menands activities and economic development. And then Megan and I shot the video press release last week, which is just her announcing the partnership with CGI. And hopefully we'll get that back soon to put back on the website and on social media, just to announce again the legitimacy of the project, so local businesses will be more interested in sponsoring it. And the tentative day to shoot the videos is April 15th. It's a Friday, and we are hoping that the weather is good enough to do that. But they are very flexible in terms of understanding if they need to change days. So it would either be later on that weekend, maybe the 16th or 17th, or just the next week in general. And then for the Summer Food Truck Festival, we have confirmed live entertainment for all 4 nights. So there will be 2 bands and a single guitar musician. We also have confirmed 3 food trucks, Bull and Basil, which does pizza, Buena Comida, which does tacos, empanadas, and quesadillas, and Burger 21, which does burgers. And then they're in the process of sharing all of their paperwork with me, like their certificate of insurance and their business license, just to make sure everything is good on that end. And then I'm also in contact with the Menands school, talking about creating lawn games, like cornhole, just as other family fun entertainment. And we decided it's going to be held in the park. There were just a lot of hidden costs with infrastructure that we may not have been able to deal with in time, just as portable restrooms and ensuring that there's space for entertainment. And so the park ended up just being a better idea. So I forwarded everyone an email today from the representative from the Story app, which is an app that other colleges and municipalities and even museums use. And it basically allows you to create your own content and tours. So you can create bike tours, walking tours, driving tours. So on average, the project takes about 3 months, and it's not like coding. It's basically determining what types of stops you want on your trails and what you want to appear. It's really cool because for certain bike tours, they can actually use the geography and basically it's an auto tour. You don't have to be touching anything during it. So that's really cool. The total cost at most would be a little over $2,300, but that's including things like there's a $99 fee just to have your app on the Apple Store. But if you're a nonprofit, they waive that fee. And then she also said that because we're so close to Albany, there's something called the Museum Association of New York. And if we are a part of that, there's also exemptions for that. And the total cost breakdown, it's mainly a little over $1,000 just for Story to basically host the app and have it available on the App Store. And then around a $900 fee just for it being the first year. And so I would basically have total control over what type of content is published. And like I said, it takes about 3 months from start to finish. So it would be ready to go for the summertime. And you can have a bike tour, a historical tour. You can have a scavenger hunt and post things in local businesses. And it would be available on the App Store, and we can make it free. And then just a summary of the meet and greet. There were 6 people who attended, and thank you to everyone from the board that attended. I really appreciated it. And just some of the common ideas and questions people wanted to know or have is adding booths to the food truck festival. So like a local artist can display their work, having a produce stand, and maybe even a booth for the Humane Society. And then also trying to secure a dessert truck for the food truck festival, as the ones who have confirmed are all typically main course. So even if that's Mr. Dingling, who I know normally frequents the village. And lastly, just making sure we're promoting the legitimacy of the CGI video partnership and start to generate interest for people who may also want to be on video, but also local businesses who would be willing to sponsor, because again, CGI isn't charging us, but they will be asking local businesses. So that's everything from me. Are there any questions?
Isabel, I don't have any questions. I just want to add on that I'm excited about the app that you're working on, and I look forward to working with you to make sure. I think there are a couple of other things that I was looking to make sure the app could do, like a calendar of events that could then be synced to someone's calendar on their iPhone or Android phone. And a couple of other features that apps can do that different municipalities have used. And we can continue to work on that together.
Mm-hmm. I just like as overall research of what I've done, this is probably like one of the best opportunities one could have, aside from hiring a college student to essentially code an app for you, which will cost a lot more than $2,400. It's the one where you have the most freedom control without having to do as nitty-gritty coding work. The representative lady was really nice. She is going to ask me how the board meeting went, just for future reference, because there's only so much I can do on the free trial as of right now, for 30 days before they basically take away any work that I've done and ask for money.
So does anybody on the board have other questions they want for maybe Isabel to go back and find out for us, or you guys are going to continue to research and we can talk about it again at the next meeting?
I have contacted the people who use the Adirondack Wayfinder app. I think they're hosted in Lake George. I called their director of like digital media, and I'm waiting for a response back to him, back from him, because I know that they have an app similar to this.
Maybe just see, not necessarily if we want to use them, although see who they used, but see if there are any features on their app that you haven't quite found on the one that you're researching, and see if there's a way to get that in there. We could just see if it's missing anything.
Yeah, I don't think this app can do the calendar feature that you're asking about, but this one can do kind of like you can basically make a list of all the businesses and have them pinned on the map, so when people are walking around, they can see their something that Seth wanted.
So the $2,000 is there then an annual maintenance fee that we have to pay?
Yeah, so the $1,100, the first part, or it's around 1,100. I can look for the exact number, but that is it, like the annual hosting fee that Story will charge for basically just having the app, and then if for some reason 1 year the village doesn't want it, they just get back to Story and they'll take it away. So yeah, the annual hosting fee is $1,188, and so this is also for the app that has 5 tours. If we wanted more, it would be a higher hosting fee, but based on what I gathered, we didn't need more than 5 different ones. And this includes multi-language support as well, and geofenced alert. And this is also, to clarify, for a native app. So this is an app that once you download off the App Store will work instead of it being a web link in which you need cellular data for. Or at least that's how she explained it to me. I can get back to her to clarify that.
I mean, it sounds really cool and cute. I just, sorry, my dogs know it's after 7 o'clock and they're acting up right now like little children. But I'm just concerned about the expense for the number of people that are going to use it. I mean, really, come on, sorry, my train of thought.
How do you gauge the number of people using it prior to having it available?
I know, and you're exactly right. And I just, I just, when we have so few people attending our board meetings, you know what I mean? It just concerns me that
they do provide analytics. It's also in the privacy agreement. Story nor us has access to who exactly is accessing it, but we do have access to the number of people who are accessing the app and website. So we wouldn't get any demographic information from them, but we would get purely numbers. And then if it wasn't turning out or generating as much turnout as hoped, we could stop basically having the app, and then we wouldn't have to pay the annual hosting fee.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So I know that Isabel, you're an intern, but then my concern is going forward, who's going to
handle that? Exactly.
Right. So is it something that, it's going to go from intern to intern, or is that something that, let's be real, it seems like something I would probably end up working with.
Happily, right?
Yeah, always happily, yes. It's just some things that I have the same concern with. Like I have so many residents that don't even have computers, where it's like an app seems very far-fetched in my idea of the village, what they can do or what they're willing to do, I guess.
Well, and Nicole, I know what you mean in terms of that. However, what I find from families, at least in North Colony as a whole, the families seem to have more phones than they have computers. So, for example, someone bought my iPhone 5 to give to their 10-year-old. Their 10-year-old doesn't have a computer, but he has my old iPhone 5. So certainly in terms of that, I'm not saying that it's necessarily the thing, but at least it can do a lot of the things that their Chromebook can do, certainly.
And then in terms of work, because it's definitely a lot of work on the front end. The only time that you would basically need to update it is if there could be a committee, or say the board felt there was something that they wanted to add to a tour, or I guess add to a map. Basically, there shouldn't be any like day-to-day work to be done once the app goes live, in terms of like updating content. It should purely just be if a random new historic district popped up in Menands and felt it was needed to be added to the app, that's when it would be. There would not have to be any like upkeep basically for it.
Okay. I guess I have so many more things, but it doesn't really matter right now because I'm sure it'll be answered in the long run.
But here, give her the questions, because maybe I don't know if there are things that she needs to take back to the story company.
This could be more of a matter of, opinion, but this is trending, I guess. I've never even heard of story, and I'm 31. So I think the how can I say this? Are there enough interesting things in Menands to want to go through the effort of making an app and doing, I don't know. That's not on me. That's just a thought. So
That's where I'm going with this also. You know what I mean? This is not downtown Boston where you have 300 years of history within blocks.
Yeah.
I just
we're looking at Tillinghast, Brookside.
I just think this is an expense. It's an ongoing expense. It's a maintenance item. And I think the same 10 or 15 people are going to use it that use any of the other high advanced features that the village has, like the website and comes to the meetings. And, so that's my opinion. I'll leave it there.
All right, well, why don't you do whatever other research you're planning on doing on it? We can have, bring it back to the next meeting. We can discuss it further then. And then the board can decide if it's something they want to move forward with or not.
Okay.
All right. So as I mentioned to Steve, highly doubt the executive order is going to be extended based on the numbers coming down. The current one goes until February 14th, so we'll know then before our next meeting. But I talked to Don about maybe we move our meetings into the village hall instead of the courtroom so we can spread out more. Seth, I think you wanted to talk about the owl.
Yes. So there is an item that a lot of workplaces use. My sister Brett, who works remotely, uses this. North Colony uses it for meetings. What it's a way of making your meetings blended. In this day and age, certainly more and more people are wanting to attend meetings remotely, even if the meeting is taking place in person. And this allows people to do it for any number of reasons. So I just want to share my screen for a second. And here we go. This is what it looks like. I want to just decline this offer right now, but this is the owl, and it has a 360-degree camera. So if a board member is speaking, the owl turns to face the board. It also records what's coming from the board at the time, the board member at the time. If someone from the public is speaking, the owl rotates and faces that way, so you see and hear that person. It also comes with the software in order to integrate it into Google Meet. And it offers a panoramic view of the room, so even you can see either the speaker or the room as a whole, depending on how you set it up. You can also get pieces to it where it can be mounted if you want. It can be placed on a table, as well as you can have an iPad attached to it so that you can schedule and integrate it with other items that are going on. So again, if one wants to share a screen with people who are on Google Meet at that point, you can do it. Otherwise, what ends up happening if you want to do a blended meeting is everyone has to have their laptop open at the time. That means all the board members do. It gives you the possibility of a lot of unnecessary feedback, makes it difficult for others to hear. It also makes it difficult for those in the room to hear the feedback of people who might be attending the meeting remotely. And it makes it difficult to integrate those two together, especially if you decide you want to record that. So looking at this, you're looking at approximately $1,000 all inclusive. You can get a few extra things if you want to go to 1,200, but that's about what you'd be looking at. It's my recommendation, if we don't necessarily want to approve it tonight, that we move toward doing that. I think that's going to be the way of the future. I think a lot of places, once they return to in-person meetings, will go to blended meetings, because I think that the general public wants to go. But certainly, again, in this day and age, for any number of reasons, there are going to be people who aren't able to attend, whether it be childcare, work, or maybe being careful of possible illness.
I would say it's certainly worth exploring. I don't know that I want to act on it tonight, but I do want the opportunity to look at that and consider it. Yes.
I agree. I think we should consider at least maybe broadcasting our meetings going forward, at least for for broadcasting them, not necessarily for participation, but going forward. So I'd like to see some more features from this thing.
All right,
Well,
so why don't we?
Go ahead, Meg.
I think you're going to say what I was going to say.
Yeah, I will send an email to the board with the information on the OWL, a link. We can look it over and maybe we can put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Sounds good. All right, so we'll keep an eye out on the executive order, and I would say right now, plan on it being in person. Renee, I will let you know specifically, but thank you so much for all of your help throughout this pandemic. We couldn't have done it without you.
Been a pleasure.
And then
Thanks, Renee.
you may be being
I'll be back.
You'll be replaced by an owl. How's that sound?
That's okay. He's wise.
He's wise, yeah.
Yes. And I think we had maybe you were going to bring it up about the Winterfest.
Oh, well, we were hoping to have, with the ice skating rink and the excitement towards that, a Winterfest the week that the kids are on break. Right now, next week is going to be in the 40s, and the following week is looking in the 40s as well. So I'm not sure how we're going to be able to do that, because I doubt the skating rink is going to be usable at that point. But if it is, we're looking at doing something up at the park, the ice skating, hot chocolate, maybe some hot dogs and whatever, and just making it a little bit of a festival, but that's all weather permitting. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Sounds good. The weather's the one thing we can't control.
Exactly. All right.
Can I bring up that form, since it's just a procedural thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or do you want me to wait?
No,
I'll wait. I'll do it next time.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. Does anybody have anything else?
I just have one thing. Just to let everybody know, our current contract for our copiers is going to be up in April. Bill and I are going to go out and get proposals to replace the copiers and get a new contract. I'll give you more once I have it. And also, did anybody get a chance to sign the vouchers for the second?
Yes, I came down after school, but before Isabel's meet and greet.
All right, thank you. That's all I got.
All right. So there's nothing else. Does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And second.
Tim?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right. Thanks, everybody. Renee, thank you
Bye,
again.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys, take
Thank
it easy.
you.
Isabel,
Bye.
thank you.
Have a good one, guys.